Morning viewers and welcome to another Onside SA Soccer Show. Paul is away at the sales today, so joining me is our regular super sub, Manning Rangers League winner, Gavin Radford. Gav.
Morning, Butch. Good to be here again.
How's the AFCON treating you?
A couple of nice bets during the week, but I think we're in for some surprises maybe in this week coming.
Yeah. I remember last week you mentioned the heat, and watching the guys play at the 4:30, you can definitely see they're taking strain.
Yeah, you can see that 36, 38, 40 degrees. I mean, 10 o'clock at night, the guys are really perspiring, so must be difficult conditions to play. I think some of the teams are prepared well, and they've got like a more of a slow passing game.
Yeah.
And then they try and finish off strong in the last 20 minutes. So those are the teams that you've got to start looking at. And then the guys who are rotating. I mean, I saw Nigeria yesterday rotate five players in their squad. So they obviously got a big squad of players and they're prepared to use them. So maybe that'll help them as well.
Yeah, the other thing that I noticed was the second game, you could see teams realising the importance. Some teams didn't play too well in the opener, and the pressure's now on some of them.
Yeah, they're quite cagey in the beginning because you don't want to lose your opening game because you only got 3 games to play and you don't want to lose. So a lot of 1-0 score lines, and we said go low on goals. The heat's definitely going to slow the players down. Yeah. So the 1-0 score lines, under 2.5 goals is the bet.
Yeah. Before we go to Steve in the UK, there's 3 games on today, Gav. Kicking off, Madagascar, Burundi.
I didn't get to see much of these games, but I see Nigeria managed to get a 1-0 against Burundi, and Madagascar I thought was a good result to win one of their first times at the competition. So this game could go either way. There's goals scored, so maybe a draw in this game because they most maybe both feel themselves out a little bit.
Yeah, I think it'll be a physical game. Now, a big game today is Senegal-Algeria. Senegal's my team. I was impressed the way Algeria played the other day.
Yeah, very nice. I think out of the first week of games, I think Algeria were the team that stepped it up.
Yeah.
They started with a lot of purpose. They got the guys on the ball. They needed to have the ball. They attacked in numbers. They defended. There's good energy about that Algerian side. And I think they can go deep in this competition.
Yeah, I like them. Kenya aren't the worst of teams, and they put them to the sword very quickly.
Very
now,
nice
Kenya play Tanzania. Now, Gav, I said to you earlier, I've never seen a more physical team in my life than Tanzania.
Yeah, I think we could have a red card, maybe have a bet on a red card in a game like this. But both teams, again, feeling each other out in the opening games. Kenya are quite impressed, some nice big strong boys in the team, something that maybe South Africa's lacking a bit. A lot of power in their players. But this team can kick a few players. Yeah,
28-10 a red card. I think it's 9-10 over 3.5 bookings. So that'll be my play. Sadly, after our show flights, most people are more than likely miss it. But anyway, we've got to get it on the show prior. We're going to go across to our UK correspondent, Stevie Brahm. Steve's been missing for a couple of weeks. Stevie, are you there?
I'm here. Good morning to you both.
Has the ship finally docked?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they kicked us off.
Kicked you off,
back in the UK.
All right, Steve, let's get down to business. Rafa Benitez, Newcastle, was it on the cards?
Absolutely. I think that I never heard Rafa say anything in those last few months that gave hope to the Newcastle fans that he was going to stay. I mean, he was very diplomatic about it, but I think with all the upheavals going on behind the scenes at the club and the fact that he's been trying to get blood out of a stone to get Mike Ashley to back him in the transfer market, I think he was always going to go. So, and I think it's a bit of a poison chalice for the next person coming in because they don't know who's going to own the club. So whether or not they would be the first pick, the first choice pick for new owners. So it's we know there'll be no shortage of applicants and a lot of the usual suspects. But for a big name manager, someone like Mourinho has already said he wouldn't join a club whose aspirations are to finish in the top 10, as opposed to looking to win something. So, I think they'll have no problem with getting a manager, but whether it's the manager that's going to take them anywhere further forward than they are, I don't know.
Yeah, Steve Gerrard's name was mentioned. Can you see him leaving Rangers?
I'd be very surprised. I mean, it would be a big... a big step up for him. But I just wonder whether he thinks hasn't achieved anything quite yet. And I think that, I think he'd like to see if he could close the gap and overhaul Celtic in the next year or two. And then I think, he could leave and say, look, I've achieved something. He's only had one season there. He's got them, into the into second place. But I think that it would be early for him. I think he'll do well, and I think when he does finally come down and manage in the Premiership, I think he'll do well. He seems fairly articulate, and as a player, he knows how to play the game. So I just wonder that Newcastle now would just be a big job too soon for him. And if it goes wrong, then it blots his copybook a little bit.
Yeah, I've got a good mate of mine at the Toten Durban North, Krishan. He's a big Newcastle fan. He's despondent at the moment, and in fairness, I don't blame him. Now, Frank Lampard could be jumping after one season at Derby. Surely he can't go to Chelsea, Steve?
Well, I mean, I think if you look at in the last sort of X years, the big name managers that have been attracted and Abramovich has hired. So this would be a real surprise. But the press here have got him almost going. They're saying that if he is going to go, it's going to be announced in the next few days. And I just wonder whether or not with the transfer embargo and having to use the players they've got and some younger players, whether they feel that he might be the right person to sort of come in and sort of galvanise the club a little bit. He's obviously Chelsea through and through. It would be a huge step up and a lot of pressure on him, because if it doesn't go well, where does he go from there? But I think good luck to him. Again, he's a very bright guy. He's articulate. He understands the game well and understands the club. So I think that the key for him will be to have the right backroom staff around him. And I think, and also when the opportunity arises and they're out of their transfer embargo, is to buy the right sort of players.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't see John Terry joining as an assistant. He looks to me the guy who wants to become a manager on his own ship. Do you agree with that?
I think so. I think I've heard that. I guess when they were together, obviously they played together for many years. But John Terry was their captain. He was the leader. I'm not sure it would be the fit would be right if Lampard goes in and brings John Terry in as his number 2 or 3. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if that didn't happen. Yeah. He's got Jody Morris with him. He may decide to keep Zola in some capacity. Zola didn't leave when Sarri left. So I think he will want to have people around him who know the club.
Yeah. New signings. I see Spurs are in for the youngster from Lyon. Has that gone through yet?
That hasn't gone through yet, as far as I'm aware. I mean, it's he's rated very highly. Yeah. They talk about him being the sort of natural successor in the French team to Kanté. Obviously, a very similar sort of player, and I think would alongside Sissoko, if Sissoko is staying, would be a big engine for Tottenham. They did actually push through a transfer last night, I understand, which was young Jack Clark, an 18-year-old winger from Leeds who had a very good season in the Championship. So they're obviously decided that now they've got the new stadium. I think under a bit of pressure, they held on to 4th place, but they could have dropped out of the Champions League places. So I think they needed. There's no question they had to invest this summer. So they're obviously going about it early.
Yeah, talking about teams under pressure, Man United, that should go through today. Wan-Bissaka, 50 million.
It looks like it, and I think that they've obviously made their mind up. They want to go after sort of young players. Yeah. They know the key positions, and I think this is a good move for him and for them. I mean, he's had an exceptionally good season. He's very fast, got a very good awareness of the game. I've seen him play live a couple of times, and in fact, he had, sadly, had Ryan Sessegnon in his pocket in the first game when the Palace played at Fulham. Yeah. Sessegnon couldn't get near the ball. He's prone to mistakes, and he's been booked a few times, but he's young. But I think it's a perfect sort of transfer for United. I think the big the next question is whether or not they actually are prepared to pay sort of it looks almost crazy money for Harry Maguire, because Leicester are holding out for more than 75 million.
Yeah, the reason I think they're holding, have they bought the youngster from Belgium, the guy that was on loan there last year, Leicester?
No, and my understanding is that other clubs are seriously looking at him. So at the moment, as much as I think they'd like him, Monaco are going to hold out for the biggest fee they could get, and there could be other clubs that will come in. And I think my understanding is they're looking around about sort of 40+ million. Yeah. Whether Leicester are prepared to pay that, but other clubs are looking at him as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I can see Harry Maguire leaving. I think he obviously, by the sounds of it, I think I understood that he had an agreement with the late chairman that he would stay one more year and see how things went. But but I think at the sort of money they're looking at, I don't know if City or United would pay much more than 75 million for him.
Yeah, I just think that if Leicester do take the 75, they can get the 40 for Tielemans. So you've got 35 to maybe get another centre-half to replace him, Yeah, I don't blame him for looking to go because with all due respect to Leicester, they're a Europa League team at best. And I know he never really played well in the Nations League for England, Harry Maguire. But I think he's England's best defender, Steve.
Yeah, on his day, he's good. He's strong. He's quite comfortable on the ball, and he can score goals. He's not afraid to get his head in there where it hurts. So, I think he, to me, he's that sort of Steve Bruce type defender that United had sort of years ago. Reliable, solid, not going to give anything away. So I think United probably need him more than City.
Yeah.
But my understanding is he would prefer City. I guess you could understand that because he pretty much nailed on to sort of win trophies.
Yeah.
But obviously if United can get their defence sorted out with Van Bissaka and Maguire and whoever else they're bringing in up front, then they could certainly challenge to be top four this season without doubt.
Yeah, I just worry whether the £280,000 he's reported to have asked for, whether Pep Guardiola may put a stop to that.
Yeah, I think that, the one thing that sort of City is no one player is bigger than the team, and I think that has served them well in the last few years. Whereas United, as we know, have been chasing the big names and have been prepared to pay, sort of huge money to bring in the big names, which I think unsettles the squad a bit.
Yeah.
Whereas at City, they're all big stars to a certain extent, and there's not one player, who really, stands out above the others to the point where, they're paying him a huge amount more. So, I think, but if City wants him, if City, wants somebody, I think, if they want them, I think they'll get them.
Yeah, and also they need a few English players too. You've got to have 8 homegrown, and I think they've only got 4 at the moment. So last year they finished with 4 members short. They only had a squad of 21 where everybody else had 25. So I think they're under pressure to sign Englishmen.
And I'm not sure they got enough coming through in the ranks to do that. So
yeah, it's true.
But, as we know, we're still quite six weeks away from the transfer deadline. So there's always a lot of activity. Players are away. Players have been playing in the various tournaments. So the Premier League teams are going back this week, but there's going to be a lot of absentees for another few weeks.
Yeah, and the latest on De Ligt from Ajax. Do you think he's going to go to Juventus?
Yeah, I thought at one point, obviously, Barcelona was nailed on.
Yeah.
As a defender, Juventus are masters at defending, and he could learn a lot from the
Cellini and co.
From Cellini and co. But I thought that. For me, I'm surprised that one of the big Manchester clubs that haven't gone in for him.
Yeah.
I know that they're interested, and whether or not they're not prepared to pay. But when I've watched him play, he just looked like he's got everything that you'd expect a defender to have, and he's still learning the game.
Yeah, I agree. That's who United need. We don't need Harry Maguire. Steve, it's the Women's World Cup quarterfinals. England, Norway.
Yeah, big game. There's a huge sort of interest at the moment, and they're expecting. They had something like nearly 7 million watch the game the other day. They're expecting more to watch tonight. Getting a lot of support. It's a game that they feel they can win. They beat Norway in the World Cup sort of last time in the last 16, I believe it was. And I think if they can win it, then obviously they'll. I'm not sure they go beyond the semi-finals personally, but I think there'll be a lot of excitement and good luck to them. I don't think they played particularly well. Yeah. They've done what they had to do. Obviously, they were involved in a pretty controversial game against Cameroon.
Yeah.
And I think on the back of it, their character shone through. They didn't react to some of the things that were going on. They just got on with the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think the winner of France, USA, even though I've backed Germany, I looked at the side of the draw. I think 6-1 was a good bet, but I agree the best 2 teams have been France and the US. Have you been looking at the AFCON, Steve?
A little bit. We've got all the games, so I'm hoping over the next few days I'll get to watch. And I think the big teams that you expect are going through. I mean, Egypt with home advantage are going to be hard to beat.
Yeah.
They're obviously through now to the last 16. Nigeria through. Big game today. Senegal. It's interesting. Over the years they've had some very strong squads, but they've never done well in the AFCON in recent tournaments. But if you look at some of those names who we are very familiar with in the Premier League and the big European teams, and you think that if they click, I can't see any reason why they can't to go very deep into the tournament.
Yeah, that's who we've backed, Senegal. I looked at the goalkeeper.
Okay.
He plays in League One as well. He plays for Reims. All these big competitions, Steve, I always look at the goalkeepers because it's great. And that's where I just got a funny feeling about Egypt. I think at the back, that West Brom centre-half, is it Hegazi? He looks a bit of a lost corp, as we would say, a loose head in South Africa. But,
but I think as well, I think I heard you before, the Heat is going to play something. So, I think that they've got to... there's a lot of game management needed to cope with 90 minutes and extra time if we get to that in knockout games.
Yeah.
So, to play tournaments in the summer, obviously it's it hasn't. I suppose the one good thing for the European countries is not disrupting their leagues, because normally they go off most of the month of January. So, and it'd be interesting then, by the time they finish, for those teams that go very deep into the tournament, they won't be back with their clubs until sort of late July. So they're only going to have about 2 weeks off before the season starts, which is sort of disruptive as well. So, players like Sadio Mane, if Senegal get through to the final, he won't be back to Liverpool till the end of July.
Yeah.
So, but again, that's far less disruptive than having them off for 4 weeks in January.
No, that's true. Steve, thanks very much for your help. Keep well, and we'll speak to you next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the best, Steve. Take care. Bye. It's our UK correspondent, Stevie Brahm, our Fulham man, whose team unfortunately got relegated from the Premiership. On to the AFCON, Friday. Tunisia, Mali. Now, what's Mali the other night? They won 4-1. They've got a youngster, Adama Traore. Plays for Orleans in League Two. Geez, what a good left foot, Gav. This is not a bad team.
Yeah, I spoke about Mali last week. You don't want to draw them in one of your groups. They were impressive last week, but you're playing against a Mauritania side that's first time into the competition. You expected them to lose the match, but 4-1 and getting the goals the way they did, and they almost looked like a complete team, Mali. They normally come to these competitions and they would fall away and a bit of in-house fighting you would hear. But this time around, they really put them to the sword. Yeah,
I felt sorry for Tunisia. The guy's the manager, Alain Giresse. Now, the guy, I think, is a superb player, the Spanish midfield player. And he reminds me of him, and he was distraught. The goalkeeper tossed one in when they drew with Angola 1-1. This will be a good game. Just hope the heat doesn't kill them. But I like what I saw from Mali, Gav.
Yeah, I think both teams are good ball-playing sides. Tunisia like to keep the ball and like to keep it for long periods of the game, where Mali's more direct, physical, powerful side running into the ball. It's quite a tough game. I think both teams wouldn't be surprised if they would accept the draw.
Yeah, I think they both got off to fairly good starts, but it's more desperate for Tunisia. Now, Morocco, they cruised in their first game, and so did the Ivory Coast. They beat South Africa, even though it wasn't the best of games. How do you see this one?
Again, I think this is another one of those games where both teams will be happy if there's a draw.
Yeah.
The teams that they've got to play in the next round, Namibia and South Africa, both teams will think they would beat them.
Yeah.
So they would probably take the draw between the two. But Morocco, again, they played well within themselves last week. They kept the ball. They knocked it, tried to play through the middle. Ivory Coast, a lot of good players, but they never really set the game alight.
Yeah.
In saying that, South Africa, we thought would maybe sit back a little bit and try and catch them on the counter.
Yeah.
Didn't work for us. I mean, we just need a little bit more power going forward.
Just a little bit
but
more.
I'm leaning towards a draw in this game.
Yeah, Morocco were lucky against Namibia. The own goal in the 88th minute. I thought Namibia fought hard to get a draw, but Morocco, they got players. Ivory Coast, well, you can only win. 4:30 kickoff, good result. Now, can Bafana get back to winning ways?
Well, the betting suggests that they can. I'm not convinced. I mean, like you say, looking at the game going forward, South Africa, we never got two passes. We tried to knock the long ball up front, and as quick as we knocked it forward, the quicker it came back.
Yeah.
Percy's all up front on his own. He's trying to do a lot to try and hold the ball up and try and bring players in. But we just never seemed to get the support. Furman was too far back.
Yeah.
The forwards are too far forward. There was no cohesiveness in the team. South Africa are going to battle in this game against Namibia. I wasn't. I said they lost 1-0 Namibia.
Yeah.
They put it out there. So South Africa going to have to work hard to get a result here.
Well, it's a game both teams have to win because South Africa play Morocco, Namibia play Ivory Coast, and I doubt both teams will win that.
Yeah.
So if they want to get through as the third best playoff teams.
Yeah, you're going to have to go out to win this game. You can't sit back and take a draw.
I think there'll be goals in this game. Also, it's the late game, so both teams have got to go for it. Hopefully we can get a result. Otherwise, our sports back in the doldrums again. Now, Mauritania play Angola. Angola were fortunate against Tunisia. Fortunate goal. But Mauritania got blasted away by Mali. Angola for me here, Gab.
Yeah, I make Angola the best bet of the day. I think Angola will win this game. It will probably win about 2 or 3-0 as well.
Yeah.
Mauritania came to the tournament. I don't think they expected much. It's a good outing for them to see how good where they are on the picking list. But I think Angola will be too good for them.
Now, the big game in Group F, Cameroon, Ghana, 2 African powerhouses. I can't believe Cameroon are 19-10. I know 2-0 was a flattery when they beat Guinea-Bissau, but I wasn't really impressed with Ghana. They drew with Benin. They looked a bit dodgy at the back.
Both teams we spoke about last week, but maybe won't get past the quarterfinals. I was quite impressed with Cameroon.
Yeah.
They came out and they played. Got some big, strong boys. They chased it. I think they've made a couple of backroom changes as well. Ghana, a little disappointing. We said maybe they were a bit of an aging team as well. So I wasn't too surprised that they battled in their game. But I'm leaning towards Cameroon at 19-10.
Yeah, it's 9-20, Cameroon in the draw. That's my play in the game. Now on to the second page where we've got Benin versus Guinea-Bissau. Goals?
Yeah, it looks like goals in this game.
Yeah.
Guinea-Bissau, they lost their first game 2-0. It's a tough game to call this because both teams have got the ability to step it up.
Yeah.
In a tight game, second round of the competition, you need to win a game. You can't afford to lose now because if you lost your opening game, then you're on your way home if you lose the next one. So it could be a lot of goals in this game. But again, I think it's two teams quite evenly matched.
Yeah, I just think the betting's wrong. Guinea-Bissau played Cameroon 26-10, maybe 8-10 win and draw there. I don't know, but as a game, I wouldn't really like to have a bet. Now, Burundi, I thought fought hard when they lost to Nigeria. They only got beat 1-0. Guinea, if that's, I took the betting from one board. If Guinea on 9-10, I watched them play. That Naby Keita, they got some good players. Yeah. I think they'll destroy Burundi.
Yes, I think Guinea are a good side. They've got some, like you say, good players. They've got good players playing in Europe as well. Yeah. That little bit of experience is what you need in a competition, especially when you're playing a lesser team. You need some of those top players to step up, and I think Guinea will win this game and win it comfortably.
Yeah, so do I. Now the end of Group A, the teams play at the same time. Uganda 4-1, need a draw to go through. Egypt 8-10. You think he's going to rest players?
I don't think so. I think they're going to. The crowd and expectations are now really behind them. They've got 2 victories under the belt. They're looking good. They want to push forward. They want to take put the foot on the accelerator and move forward. I think Egypt are a good bet at 8-10.
Yeah, I just worry about Mo Salah whether he's going to rest him. I know they should beat Uganda. Uganda well organised, but Zimbabwe were a little bit unlucky against him last night. Now Zimbabwe got 1 point. If they want to get through as a third best qualifier, they've got to beat the Congo, DR Congo.
Well, first of all, they've got to find the striker that can put the ball in the net.
Miss of the season.
The chances that they missed yesterday, they should have won that game comfortably yesterday. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe the chances. There wasn't even the goalkeeper in the goals. Yeah. But a tough game against the DRC. I mean, they can also play.
Goals, yeah.
They can hurt you, but I'm leaning towards Zimbabwe purely in the fact that they created enough chances to win the game.
Yeah.
And the Congo maybe have disappointed a little bit and conceded too many. So I'm leaning towards Zimbabwe to get a result.
Yeah, I've got my doubts about that, Gav. I was impressed with the Congo. I know they play Egypt, hit the bar a few times. It's just defensively. I think goals. I think I saw over 2.5 goals, 14-10. But that would be my play. But we're hoping for the Zimbabweans. Now, the outright betting, obviously after a few games, this is as we stand. 29-10 Egypt, 4-1 Senegal.
Yeah, I think the betting is shortened on Egypt because they've won their 2 games now. So they've really qualified for the next round. And what you've seen and with the crowd behind them, you expect nothing less than them to be favourites.
Yeah, would you be taking 13-2 Nigeria?
You know, Nigeria look like they've got a nice big squad of players.
Yeah.
They look like they could be stepping it up for this tournament. I'm still with Morocco. I want to see them have their second game. I think they've shortened from 12-1 to 9-1, 8-1. I think they drew a big tournament, so I'm still sticking with Morocco. I'm hoping that they have a good second and third game. Yeah. Then it'll be interesting when the draws come out again for the next round.
Well, you're right. Onto the second page, Algeria, that'll be a good, I think of the teams on that page, that's the lurker, Algeria. They play Senegal today. That's Moritz and Co. I just don't like any of the other teams. Can you see any others winning it?
No, I can't see anybody else winning it. Those first 5, 6 teams on the page, they look like the right ones.
Yeah.
You have to get really lucky, or maybe go into a penalty shootout somewhere along the line and go deep. But the winner looks like it'll come from that page.
First page, I agree. We end off with the MLS in America. That's the other league that we'll be following, and I'll go through it quickly with you. Now, Minnesota are playing Cincinnati at home. Cincinnati have lost all 7 of their games away from home. So 6-10 Minnesota have won 3 of the last 5 home games. That's my play. Atlanta, the current champions, play a Montreal team that, while they're in good form, have lost their last 3 meetings at Atlanta. Atlanta's 5 home games have all ended in victory. I think this will be a comfortable victory for Atlanta. Now, New York City, which is part of the Man City group, against Philadelphia. Philadelphia have only lost 1 of the last 11 league matches, but Man City are unbeaten in the last 5 at home. How they've got 27-10 the draw, I don't know, but New York City in the draw for me in that fixture. Columbus against Orlando, 2 teams that are struggling. Columbus have lost 9 of their last 11 league games, while Orlando City have only won 1 of the last 6 away from home. 2 struggling teams. Goals would be my play in that particular game. New England Revolution, always hard to beat in Boston. They've won 2 of the last couple, and I think they'll be too good for Houston, who've lost their last 5 matches away from home. The second page, we've got Wayne Rooney's DC United, who host Toronto. DC United, they won last night courtesy of a Wayne Rooney goal, and I think they'll be too good for a Toronto team who have lost 3 of their last 4 away from home. Real Salt Lake Sporting Kansas City. 2 teams in good form. Real Salt Lake have won 3 of the last 4 home games, while Kansas City have only lost 1 of the last 6. 26-10 a draw for me in that game would be my play. Now, 2 teams in great form. San Jose's last 6 home games, they've won 5 and drawn 1. They face the LA Galaxy unit, which Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the former Man United striker, plays in, and they've won their last 3 away games. Expect fireworks, but likewise, a draw would be my play, and if I'm siding with one team, I'm going with LA Galaxy. Seattle, to me, their last 12 home games have ended in 10 wins and 2 victories, and I think they'll be too good for a Vancouver side that have only won 1 of their last 7 encounters. And we end off with Portland. Portland have only played 2 home games this year because they've had their revamp of the stadium done. I think they'll be too good for a Dallas team who have lost 3 of their last 4 away from home. On to our exotics for the weekend. We kick off with a soccer 6. I've gone the field in the Cameroon-Ghana game. I've banked Atlanta to beat the Montreal Impact. I've gone New York City, win and draw at home against Philadelphia Union. I've gone Columbus Crew, win and draw at home against Orlando City. I've banked DC United to beat Toronto. And I've gone the field in the Real Salt Lake Sporting Kansas City game, 2-1-6. Our second soccer 6, I've gone Angola, win and draw against Mauritania. I've banked Rosenborg to win their Norwegian clash against Christiansen. I've gone the field in Cameroon versus Ghana. I've banked Dynamo Brest to beat Islok Minsk in the Belarusian clash. I've gone ROPS, win and draw at home against KPV in the Finland League. And I've gone the field in Benin, Guinea-Bissau, 2-1-6. On to our soccer 10 on Saturday. I've gone Cameroon, win and draw at home in the AFCON against Ghana. I've gone the field with Benin, Guinea-Bissau. I've banked Atlanta to beat Montreal Impact. I've gone New York City, win and draw against Philadelphia Union. I've gone Columbus Crew, win and draw against Orlando City. The second page, I've banked New England to beat Houston Dynamos. I've banked DC United to beat Toronto. I've gone the field in the Real Salt Lake Sporting Kansas City clash. I've sided with LA Galaxy to get a good result at San Jose Earthquakes. And I've banked Seattle Sounders to beat Vancouver Whitecaps 288. On to the tricky Soccer 13 on Saturday. I've gone IFK Gothenburg, win and draw at Ostersons. I've gone with Elfsberg, win and draw at Falkenberg. I've gone GIF Sundsvall to beat AS Karlskrona at home. I've gone BK Forward, win and draw at Gefle. Likewise, the away team of Acropolis to get a good result at Linköping City. I've banked Karlstad to beat Reininga. I've gone Umia, win and draw at St. Varkens. Our second page, I've gone Solentuna, win and draw against Vasselins. I've gone at Sicktons, win and draw at Landskrona. Likewise, Tavakas, win and draw at Eskilsmina. And I've ended off with 3 bankers. Top of the league, Trollhättan to beat Lunds. I've gone Torns to beat Oskarsham. And I've gone at Wittenberg to beat Christianstad. 435 Rand. On to Budgie's bets for the weekend. I've gone Angola to beat Mauritania. I've gone Cameroon to win or draw against Ghana. Likewise, I've sided with Morocco, win or draw against the Ivory Coast. And I've continued our play, Senegal to win the competition, 3,800 to 200. My MLS quartet, I've gone Atlanta to beat Montreal and Minnesota to beat Cincinnati by more than 1 goal. And I've gone Portland to beat Dallas and Seattle to beat Vancouver. Our Swedish quad, I've gone Norrköping to beat Sirius by more than 1 goal. I've gone Örebro to beat Helsingborg on Friday. And I've gone over 2.5 goals in the Östersunds IFK Gothenburg and Häcken Hammarby games, 3,800 to 200. My both teams to score sides are Tunisia Mali, Benin Guinea-Bissau, Östersunds IFK Gothenburg, Columbus Orlando City, and Real Salt Lake Sporting Kansas City, 3,800 to 200. My Norwegian quartet, I've gone Molde to beat Brand Bergen. I've gone Rosenborg to beat Kristiansund and over 2.5 total goals. And I've gone Tromsø to win or draw at Lillestrøm. Likewise, Vålerenga to win or draw at Haugesund. And our Collis King 6 on Ixa, I've gone Molde to beat Brann. I've gone Norrköping to beat Sirius. I've gone Atlanta to beat Montreal. Minnesota to beat Cincinnati. Portland to beat Dallas. And Seattle to beat Vancouver. Gav, before I give my best bet and best value bet, I know you love a punt. What do you want?
Well, I'm going with the AFCON with Angola to beat Mauritania at 14 to 10. I think some good value. And a good value bet would be Tunisia and Morocco, both of them to draw at about 8 to 1. Maybe you can squeeze the bookie for 10 to 1. I think those two would be a good double. And then the outright winners, I'm still with Morocco and
Still
obviously
Morocco.
Egypt. Egypt will do well.
Okay, now it's the July next week. We had the gallops this morning. Who are you going for?
Well, I saw a beautiful horse this morning. Not that I fancy it, but he really looked out of his skin. That horse had the huncho.
Okay.
He looked really spectacular. But I'm siding with Muzieni, Mark de Kock, 53 kilos. I'm going with Bahrain.
You like Bahrain, eh? Yeah,
I think he will do really well.
I thought the best gallop of the day was Socrates. And when I had a look at the card, it wasn't running.
Unbelievable.
My best bet, last week we were on Odd Ball Club, 9.5 to 10. They got a result. The LA Galaxy landed a nice double at 17 to 10. This week my best bet is Wayne Rooney's DC United. I think they'll be too good. And my best value bet is Cameroon to beat Ghana. Until next week, make sure you're onside.